Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Conversations with the Homecare Guyz. I'm Ferris.
And I'm Caleb Lenore. Welcome. Ferris, it's good seeing you again.
Man, good seeing you. How's it going?
Man, it's been amazing. Listen, you see how he's smiling? He's happy to see me.
Exactly.
Just like everyone is always happy to hear about the Homecare Guyz.
Yes, of course.
Well, I want to tell you, Ferris, well, how has your week been? Just tell me how you been doing, what's going on. Give me a catch up.
This week's been actually pretty interesting. One thing that we've done this weekend, of course, coming from the weekend, enjoying the Perry Fair, the Georgia National Fair. First time ever going to Perry, Georgia for the National Fair. Man, it's something that you would definitely enjoy. I mean, it was huge. They had concerts, they had rides, they had, of course, fair food. We had every fried thing that we can fry in Georgia, everything from fried Oreos to fried baby fingers, probably.
Have you got a turkey leg? Did you try the fried turkey leg?
Definitely the first thing. We did the fried turkey leg, but we had the turkey leg as soon as we came in.
Nice.
That was the first thing we had. And I think we drank so much lemonade.
Oh,
it was ridiculous.
Goodness. Was it hot? Was it like the weather? How was the weather?
The weather was beautiful. We went on a day where it was not as populated,
nice.
not as crowded. But it was beautiful, man. How was your weekend? My
weekend was amazing. I went to New York New York just to visit a friend and just have a good time. And so just to get on our trending topics, because I talked to you about it, I was really surprised, Ferris, that when I went to New York, like in order to eat at any kind of eatery or restaurant, you had to show your vaccination cards.
Wow.
And so how the world is talking about being vaccinated or unvaccinated, that's a war against that. So we don't even want to get into that part. But what I have found out is like people are really serious. It's the restaurants or the government is requiring the restaurants to show the customers or the customers to show proof of vaccinations if they want to eat at the restaurant.
Wow.
Or with any large gathering, like if you're going out to like a lounge or anything like that, you have to show your vaccination card.
Wow.
So what are your stance on that? And what are your stance on just like being vaccinated and being unvaccinated, even I don't want to get into it, but I do want to get into it a little bit. Let's go into it.
So my stance on vaccinations or unvaccinated, of course, it boils down to personal responsibility. I think as an American, you should have the freedoms to go through and actually do what you want to do with your body.
Right.
But also we have to realize that there's repercussions thereafter as well. So yes, I'm vaccinated, but it was a choice that I made. I wasn't held down to go through and get vaccinated. Right. I wasn't ostracized because I wasn't vaccinated at some point as well. So I think it's definitely a personal choice. And I think just like it's a lot of antics going on, vax, unvax, how does it affect, etc. I think that for us to get back to some form of normalcy, it's going to take a collective effort.
Right.
And my part in doing that was to be vaccinated. Others there's some other ways that other people may be taking advantage of doing that. Right. But hey, that's my stance on it.
Well, you know what? Wear your mask. That's important to wear your mask. One thing I feel like, especially when I went to the restaurant to eat, I did feel a sense of normalcy. I felt a little safe. I felt like, everybody in the world out there was like probably, not vaccinated, but at least the ones that were inside, had proof of vaccination. So I did feel a little sense of normalcy. I'm ready for the world to come back to a sense of normalcy in a way. And I really don't think that we're going to get there anytime soon. I think we probably have another 2.5 years before we ever get into some sense. And we may have to, maybe the mask is going to be a part of our permanent wardrobe.
I hope not, because that's one thing. I think that in some professions, definitely masks are required. I know even in some parts of different countries, masks are more normalized as well.
Right.
But I would hope that here in the States and here and across the world that we can get to some point where we get ahead of this right here and go ahead and actually beat this COVID thing, because it has definitely had an economic impact on America and around the world.
Right.
And I think that psychologically, man, a lot of people are in deep depression, have high anxiety because of this, because they're listening to the media every day, all day.
That's
because
stressful.
of numbers are going up, numbers are going down. People are not vaccinated, people are vaccinated. It's just a lot going on. And I think that I can't wait to get some form of normalcy. And I think that, just like I said, however we can come together and not step on each other's toes, that's the answer for me.
And I want to say this too. I recently looked on Twitter, Ferris. The governor of New York is requiring all healthcare professionals to be vaccinated. And so I think on Twitter it says there's 84,000 members. Let me double check. Was it 34,000 home health care and home care workers lost their jobs because they didn't get vaccinated. And so just thinking about if 34,000 lost their jobs, those clients are getting missed visits. They're going to go back to the hospital for recurrent admissions. This is going to be crazy. And so this government or the state of New York is requiring all healthcare workers to get vaccinated. Do you think other states are going to be following suit on that, or how do you feel about that?
I do. I think what's happening right now, the government's trying to set a precedence of actually how we handle different pandemics or outbreaks. I think that's one thing that they're trying to do right now. And I think that if a lot of people buy in right now, I think it'll be easier, quote unquote, in the future. So I think that unfortunately, some of our healthcare workers are caught in the mix of a lot of this political stuff.
Right.
I think that, again, it boils back down to personal responsibility. It boils back down to personal decision making as well. Knowing that if for some reason I work in the healthcare field, knowing that if I'm exposing myself to different people, personally, I would feel responsible enough to go through and say, you know what, hey, let me go ahead, pending if I don't have any other diagnosis that would prevent that.
Right.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and get vaccinated because this is the field that I chose to go into. It's just like if you're traveling overseas.
Right.
If you're traveling overseas to some countries, you have to have certain vaccinations if you are going to travel. And so I think that that's one of the things right there where it's, like I said, if I choose to work in healthcare, if I choose to go through and travel another country, I have to go through and actually abide by some of the laws of the land.
Well, you know what? While we're in there, let's get into our conversations, Ferris, because our conversations today is pretty much talking about how COVID-19 has affected home care or just healthcare in general. And so we're going to speak about home care. How's it affected home care? What are some ways that COVID-19 has affected the home care industry, Ferris?
Man, I've seen where a lot of, I've seen a certain number of clientele, they're actually requesting now that their caregiver is vaccinated. And again, that's when the personal responsibility comes back. I think that if we're going, especially in the home care setting, when you're going into someone's home, they have a right to their home. They have the right to whoever comes in their home as well. So a lot of people are asking, hey, well, is my caregiver vaccinated? Or I prefer to have a caregiver who's vaccinated. And so if I'm to work in this industry and to remain employed, you have to go through and abide by the individuals that are actually our consumers.
It's their home.
It's their home.
It's their right.
And so that's one thing we have to realize as well. We've seen a lot of that has happened. I've seen where laws are coming down through the land where if you are Medicaid or Medicare recipient businesses, you're having to go through and actually have proof of vaccinations or
COVID test.
Weekly COVID tests.
Right.
There's a lot of things that's coming down that we must abide by if we're going to remain in business and if we're going to go through and actually keep individuals out of long-term care facilities.
One thing I see is the caregiver shortage. You know, a lot of the caregivers, you know, they may have younger children and children that they don't want to infect with COVID-19. And so people are not really driving to work in the healthcare field, you know, like they once was, even though the healthcare field is one of the most stable careers and jobs that you can have. But a lot of people aren't really applying. And so that's leaving the pool of caregiver shortage to low, as well as leaving family members and seniors and disabled children and disabled adults without the care that they need. One thing that I do know, Ferris, is especially with the state of Georgia and other states are following suit. During this process and during this time with COVID-19, they have implemented a new program in Georgia called Structured Family. Elaborate more about the Structured Family program.
And I remember, I think Georgia adopted this program in October 2019, but this was a program that came right on time because before the pandemic, individuals were requesting, how can I go through and care for my own loved one, but also still receive some type of compensation because they have bills. Right. And so I remember right when COVID-19 kicked off, even our agency got approved for this particular program that allows for family members to care for their own loved ones and also receive payment for actually caring for their loved one. And one thing we've seen hundreds and hundreds of individuals take advantage of this particular program because they were already caring for their loved one. Right. They were already going through and doing it. out of the kindness of their heart,
but not getting reimbursed.
It would not getting reimbursed. And I think that was a big move on Georgia to go through and say, hey, we're going to step up to the plate and we're going to go through and actually take care of those individuals who are taking care of our Georgians. And so that was a big move on the state of Georgia to go through and do that. But what it does in the long-term effect,
we have to applaud Georgia, because Georgia in several states, I think it's probably like 14 states right now that are implementing the structured family caregiving program. Now, other states are probably allowing family members to take care of their loved ones as an employee basis, but this is pretty much the Georgia program allows for those family members to take care of their loved ones without being taxed on that. And so that's a great program, and it's a permanent program. It's not a temporary program. So after COVID-19, after, from years later or years in the future, this program is still going to be in place, structured family caregiving program in Georgia.
And one thing, Kayla, I think about this program, I'm like, man, people are able to go through and care for their loved ones in the comfort of their own home. Their fears are lower, their anxiety is lower, and they get to go through and actually create lasting memories with their loved one.
Right.
And I think that's what so many people wanted to do, was go through and actually take care of mom, dad. They wanted to go through and take care of their uncle or aunt or their niece or nephew in their own home, while not having to go through and worry about, oh my gosh, can I keep the lights on, or can I pay the rent? And so again, just like big ups to Georgia for actually having this program, and big ups to all the family caregivers out there who are actually caring for their loved ones as well, because that's something, that's a selfless service as well. So that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Exactly. Well, there you have it. I'm glad we just had this conversation, because we went from vaccinations to even how COVID-19 has affected our community as well as the state. One thing that I do want you to know is it's going to be up to you for your personal decision on being vaccinated or not vaccinated. But I just require and I ask that you wear your mask. Definitely follow universal precautions. Wash your hands. Stay safe. Definitely stay safe and take your vitamins or any kind of precaution that you want to that you may feel that's going to be beneficial for you to definitely fight off this virus.
Exactly, Kayla. And one more thing I would recommend is definitely tune in each week to Conversation with the Homecare Guyz, because we're going to go through and continue to bring you all the latest and greatest news when it comes to in-home healthcare and the latest trends that are happening throughout the United States as well. So, Kayla, here's to another episode, man.
Episode 2.
Episode 2, man. We're super excited, and we look forward to you all tuning in each week, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Peace.